Hey, what's going on, Meepletown? 15 years ago, a mysterious society named Cloud set fire to oil production sites and also set fire to large forests in order to destabilize the world. And now we're here to combat against that. We're going to be flying around in our airships. We're going to be visiting these cloud cities, these malicious cities, and battling against them. We're also going to hopefully be planting new greenery to try to help this barren world. And those are the things we're going to be doing in, boom, CloudAge. There we go, maybe. Alexander Pfister, let's get it to the table. Hey, what's going on, Meepletown? We have CloudAge set up, and now we are ready to play this thing. I'm going to play through a couple rounds as two different players here so you can get a decent idea of how the game's played. Now, it's kind of a campaign-ish game, so I'm going to do everything I can not to do maybe one little spoiler, and that is we're going to use these new growth tiles. Now, if you start the game off in the first chapter, you're not going to have these. So the game eases your way into it by making it a little bit easier at the beginning, and then it progressively begins to add things. It'll add cards and stuff, that you'll see that as we go. So I'm just going to dive right in, and I'm going to go ahead and play. I guess before I do that, I do want to make mention of one more little thing that you don't have in the very first, in the first chapter, and that is these mission cards. And so these mission cards are going to give us goals, in-game scoring goals. So I'm going to just kind of let you know over here on yellow side, on my side, I want to get a lot of blue cards built, which you'll see that in a minute. I also want to visit Lightsville, and just there's 3 different places, and this card is the same over here for this player. They have places where they need to go visit as they're flying their airship, but they're trying to get further along on this track. And so as the game progresses, we actually could get another mission card. I don't really want to spoil things, but you could have more than one of those, I'll say that, in the course of the game. But it's pretty simple, actually, pretty straightforward how to play. The first thing we're going to do, this has a really nice player aid on the bottom of these player mats, or whatever you want to call them. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to check and see if the cube before the storybook has been emptied. And if it has, then we're going to read one of the story cards. Okay, so we do not have that. And I'm not going to read the story card that tells you a little bit about the chapter that I'm doing right now. We are going to start with a couple water, a couple metal, 2 of these new growth tiles, and 2 energy. And so the first thing we're going to do is check for that. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to be able to produce if we want to produce. And it's really simple. If we have, at this point, we're on this very first production part. If we want to spend 1 energy, which I do, I'm going to produce 2 water. And my opponent over here is going to do, she's going to do the same. She's going to spend 1 and do that. If you can see on this board, the further you get, the more you're going to be able to produce. Like 5, you actually will also start producing victory points just after you're even on your 3rd one here. But it's going to cost you more energy as you go along. Though you can actually do production of less if you're further along the track if you want to do that. So going up this track is important in this game. Okay. So now that we've done that, we're going to flip over. So I'm going to shuffle these cards from my draw deck, and I'm going to flip over 2 cards. Boom. 1, 2. Okay. Make sure those are on camera. I tried to zoom in as tight as I could, y'all. So if the bottom, I know the bottom of the cards are probably a little bit, you can't see them perfectly, but that's okay. Wow, that's kind of boring. We ended up with the same ones. So now that we've both flipped over 2 of these, and there's a lot of simultaneous play in this game, which is nice, I think. We're going to look at these numbers, and the lower number, and it's got it written here, we're going to be able to decide whether we want 1 additional project card, which we start off with 5. We have 8, and we go down to 5. So I've got 5 project cards here. Or do I want some more energy? Which energy is going to help me here. Energy is also going to help me whenever I'm doing combat. And so I think let's just do something different on both these players for fun. So I'm going to go ahead and take the energy. And she is going to, on the flip side, decide she'll keep the energy and get another project card. The project cards are you really need a lot of them in the game, because every time that you build one of the resources is kind of a resource. One of the resources is getting rid of a project card. So you also have to manage this, a key part to the game, managing your hand and managing what's really important and what you're able to give away, because you always have to give away a card. So that's it. That's the whole first, there's 3 phases of the game. That's the whole first phase. The second phase involves us flying our airship. And now that involves the second highest number. So the low value is going to be what you're either getting energy or getting the cards. The high value is going to be how many movement spaces that you can go. But also, we're going to be able to upgrade our ship and give more movement spaces over here, so we can have up to 3 over here. We can also build cards that give us more movement. And then finally, we have this like solar panel here. And every round, we can decide whether to use it for movement or use it for energy. So I can get 2 energy, or I can use it for an extra movement. And so I've got 2 movement right now. I think that I'm going to try to stay here in the middle a little bit and see what happens. So I'm going to do 2 movement into this space right here. Now that I'm in this space, I can fight the Cloud Militia. Now, initially, I don't have any combat points at all. So in order for me to be able to fight this Cloud Militia, I need to do have at least 1 combat point, which I can spend 1 energy to flip over one of my cards. Now, there is a 0 in your initial deck. So I am running a risk, though there's 6 cards left. I think there's 8 cards. It's a 1 in 6 chance I'll get a 0. But after you flip over the first card, so I could flip over more, but it costs me 2 energy every time I want to do that. So if I flip over or 3 victory points. If I flip over a 0 here, that's bad, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to flip this over. Are you serious? Wow. That's terrible. So I don't defeat the militia. The positive to that is now this 0 is out of my deck. And so that means that I won't flip over, because there's going to be a point where if she doesn't flip over a 0 with the combat, she's going to get no energy or no cards at the beginning. So you know what? I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to lose any victory points. It's only 2 waters. It's not that huge of a deal. I could also have not, I just chose not to do that. So I wasted an energy. That really stinks. Oh well. All right, now it's her turn, and she gets 2 movement points as well. She's going to go down low here. She's going to stay right down here and go 1, 2. And you may notice that there's also places on the board that have these little, they're easier to see when you're right next to them, little movement markers mean that you need 2 movements to go into this space instead of just 1. Or there's some that even require you 3 movements to go into the space instead of just the normal 1. So she's now here, and she's going to do the same thing. She's just spent her last energy to try to defeat this militia. What am I doing? Flipping over the wrong card. And she flipped over a 1, which is all she needed. So she's going to get 2 water. Now we also need to leave behind cubes where we've been, because we can't fight the same militia twice. So we can stay in the same city, we just can't fight again if we stay in that city, if we go back to that city or whatnot. So, and that's also going to keep up with our rounds. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rounds in a 3-player game. When we're playing on the B side of this board. Again, there's another side of the board that's whenever you're starting off play, and you also wouldn't have these parts of your ship, which all have to do with these tiles that you're going to be able to lay, the growth tiles. So that's the whole second phase. Now the third phase is our worker placement phase, and there's 3 spots that we can place. One is we can place here to build, and if we build, then our opponent always gets something. So if we build, then if we build 2, then they build 1, is what this spot is. Whew, I just need to take a quick drink. Over here, we're going to be getting a card. And so you notice that the first hand that we have, the first deck that we have has some 0s and 1s and stuff like that. So these could help us get some higher values for us to flip over later. But also they're going to give us resources based on what the cloud's kind of hiding, like what they are. Though they give you hints on the cards, which is cool. But also in the top corner, there's going to be the new growth tiles that we might get. So the lower the value of the card, the more regrowth tiles you get, which is kind of an interesting decision. Like, wow, a 2's not that great to have in my deck. However, getting 3 of these new growth tiles could be really positive for me. Or we're going to plant growth tiles, and we start off with being able to plant 2 each. We can get more as it progresses. Here, by the way, is getting combat points for the combat that we just did. So if I'd already had 1 combat, I would have won that one. But yeah, so we can do that, and then our opponents are going to get to have 1 build action. The build action is either building a project card or building, upgrading our ship. So right now, I think I want to go ahead and just kind of improve my cards early in the game. And so let me think of what I want to do. So the cards actually, I need to blow up these cards. I'll take a picture of them so that you can get a good look at this. Is that the cards actually, if you could play the game and not realize this. I didn't realize this at the beginning, though I know it mentioned it in the rule book, that these cards give you a hint as to what you get the most resources of. So there's a decent amount of solar panels exposed here, meaning that might be good to go for energy. There's a little bit of water here. There's a little water there. There's also these brown buildings, which that has to do with getting more cards. There's not a lot of metal here, so I'm probably not going to get a lot of metal. So if I really wanted more metal, I'd probably go to this spot or this spot and get the 2, because it looks like there's a lot more metal potentially there. So I'm going to, at this point in the game, Oh man, it's tough because energy could be really useful. And by the way, I failed to mention I didn't use my movement, and neither did she, so that we both get 2 energy. Part of me wants to get, energy can be really powerful in this game, but also more water, because water is what's going to help us build the cards. I'm going to go water, I think. No, I'm going to go energy, because I think that I see here that it's actually exposing that I'm going to get to discard a card, and I want to discard the 0. So that's interesting part of it, I guess, is that you have those clouds in different positions, and they actually look different on those, so sometimes they expose more than others. So I'm going to take my drone and I'm going to go to energy, hoping that I not only get energy, but that I can eliminate a card from my deck. And now she's over here, and she kind of wanted energy because she didn't have a ton, but she's going to say, you know what, looks like there's some water there. Let's go for water. And she's not going to get this card, but she's going to actually get, whatever the resource is revealed, because more water in this game is good. So I'm going to get this card. It's going to reveal, and yes, that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted this, so this is actually going to give me 2 energy. So boom, boom, it's got there. Then I also can discard a card from my discard pile, which is perfect that I flipped over. So that 0 that I flipped over, that could have been really bad, actually turned out to be okay for me, because now that's out of my deck permanently. I have no more 0s in my deck. And she, on the other hand, is a little disappointed that she only got 1 water. If she would have gone for the brown stuff, then she would have gotten 3 new project cards and got a build action, actually, which would have been really big for her. So she's a little sad that didn't happen. This goes to my discard pile, but I also am going to get 1 new growth tile on my turn. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. She is going to, let's see what her new growth tiles are. It's interesting. She's thinking that she might want to build, though she doesn't like that. Now I'm going to get to build 1, but she could build 2 different things. That's what she's going to do, just to kind of show you all something different. So now on her turn, she's going to go over here to build, and she's going to build 2 things. Now, if you remember that her mission card says that she wants to move further along on this track. So she has some cards here. Some of the cards don't help you move further along, but some of them do, and that's got this little gear symbol, meaning you immediately get to move up a space on that track. And so she wants to build some of those. In fact, her energy isn't bad, but let's see here. She might want to go ahead, because that's about victory points, and you don't need that. Okay, this one wouldn't be bad either, but it doesn't give you up on that track. She wants to move. Okay, so she's going to do this. She is going to build this card right here, which requires 4 water, so you're going to slide it right here. She's going to pay her 4 water, and she's going to have to get rid of a card. And so what she's going to do is she's going to get rid of... I probably shouldn't have had this card in this. Well, I don't want to spoil it. I'm going to remove that card and draw another one for her. Did I put those up there? No. Hold up a second. I accidentally put a couple cards in there that I don't want to spoil, because you will be adding cards. That's a small spoiler to this deck. So let's just pull this out and do this. Okay. This one allows you to receive 1 victory point for every combat point and upgrade project cards. 1 victory point for every movement point. Okay. Okay, this one, okay. She's going to get rid of that card. So she does move up here on this track, which means next round she's going to be able to spend 1 water and get 1 energy to get 3 water. And that's her first build. Now for her second build, there is 1 card in her deck that she could really just try to screech up that track and move up another one to immediately, I think she's going to do that. Yeah, I think she's going to say, you know what, let's spend all of my water. Her other choice would be to upgrade part of her ship. And she thought about, like, it wouldn't be bad to get some combat points or to get a little bit more movement. Oh, that piece is going to drive me insane. There we go. But she's thinking, I can spend 3 right now, put this right here. She immediately receives 1 victory point per movement point from her upgrades or project cards. So she is foregoing getting any victory points right here, because it would be if there were movement things here, or if there were movement on via upgrades. But she said, I don't care, because she wants to cross over here. So not only does she get to go here for an extra, but now she gets to draw 2 more project cards. But before that, she's got to get rid of a card. And she's going to go ahead and discard that one. Again, she had to pay 3 water and 1 card. But she's going to get to draw 2 new cards, which is pretty sweet for her. So that's a pretty good first move for her. Now for me, I get a build action. So I've only got 4 water. So I could build a card here. If I have, should I do that? I don't want to use that one yet. So part of me goes, I could build this one that give me a permanent 1 combat, which isn't bad. Or I could go ahead and spend 2 metal and just go ahead and get the permanent 1 combat that way as well. This doesn't give me any movement forward on that track either, which kind of stinks. You know what? I think I'm just going to save my water because I might actually want to go for this one next round. So I'm going to save my water. I'm going to spend 2 metal and I'm going to flip over this so I can get some more combat. So hopefully it won't happen like it happened last round. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. Yeah. Okay. So that's it. So she got 2, I got 1 of those, and that is the end of the first round there right now. So we're gonna, once again, I'm gonna kind of blaze through one more quick round so you just kind of get a good idea. I want to show how the growth tiles work. But right now we're going to go right back to this first part. We're going to see that there is we haven't exposed that book there, so nothing happens. Then we're gonna do what we did last time. Now, first place goes back over to her. I'm going to flip over a 3 and a 2. All right, so that's pretty cool. Good. It's going to give me some more opportunities. She's going to flip over a 2 and a 0. So she had to happen what happened to me last round, and that was she's not going to get to pick anything. Okay, and she's kind of low on energy here, so she doesn't like that. And if she wants to gain one of these, wow, if she wants to do this, she's going to lose. That was one big negative. She was really hoping to not flip over the 0 right then. That was a bad flip for her. But anyway, I'm going to get 2 of whatever I want, and I want some more project cards because I know I need some project cards, and I'm doing pretty good on energy. So with that being said, she doesn't get anything. We're going to go to the movement phase. I get 3 movement, plus I could get a 4th if I want to, or keep the energy. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm tempted to use that, actually. I think I will, or I could get more project cards. Because I have to have 2 movements to go into a spot. I could go 1, 2, 3, and then save my energy. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, because I have 3 movement here, and I get 2 new project cards for going through that. You always have to end in a Cloud Militia area in this game. So now I've got a decent battle on my hand if I want to battle, and I don't. I don't want to battle because it's going to cost me too much energy. Well, you know what? I do have that 1. Oh, I could end up spending 3 and I kind of need some more water. Let's do it. Who cares? It's fun. It's for the game. It's for the video, right? So let's do it. So I'm going to go ahead and spend 1 energy for my first card, and that's 1. So now I have 2. So I know that if I spend 2, which really stinks that I'm doing, I'm going to get rid. But you know, the okay thing about this is that I got, you know, those 2 1s was what I would have flipped over the next round. Now I'm going to get to kind of go back into my deck and maybe next round get to some of these 3s. So I did complete that. I do need to place this here, and I get 4 water. So let me just put one of those 5ers down like that. So that's not bad. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. Now she has 2 movement points, and I also get 2 energy because I didn't use that extra movement point there. Now she doesn't like this because she was hoping to have, wow, if she takes 2 movement points, she can't end in the spot. So she could come up here and she can do this battle. You can't go to the same one that you've already done. She could spend her last movement point, an extra movement point to go up here, to end in this, or to end down here where I am. But the problem is that, wow, she's going to have to use her energy if she wants to get those, you know. But getting more project cards is really big. But, oh man, on the flip side of that, you know what? She's going to say, you know what? I'm tired of having low energy in this game, and I will actually, oh shoot, y'all, I screwed that up. I didn't even do the energy part of this. I did not. I totally skipped a phase, so let me go back, and I'm going to spend energy, which I would have had enough energy to get my 2 waters here. Can't believe I forgot that. And she actually decided she was going to spend both of hers to go ahead and get 3 waters and a victory point to get on the board. No, she's just spending 2. Sorry. She doesn't want the victory point. She'll still get 3 waters by spending 1, I'm sorry, to get that. Okay. And so now that she's down to 1 energy, she's realizing, you know what, I'm not worried about the movement at this moment. I've just got to get some energy. So she's actually going to just go 2 movement points. She's going to fly 1, 2. And she only has 1 energy left, but she gets 2 energy because she didn't use her movement. And so she's going to go ahead and spend 1 to try to get a couple waters, 2 waters, because she needs something. And she gets it. All right, there's the one that she needed. She's going to get that. So now she's going to leave this behind, and she gets 2 waters for defeating that militia. Y'all, sorry about totally forgetting that first phase. It's horrible whenever this is like such an easy, well done. Shows you where everything is at. Next round, I'd have to flip over a card. I mean, reshuffle my deck, by the way, because I'm done with my deck. She's down to, I think, 1 card over here. All right, anyway, so the next thing that we're going to do after we did the Cloud Militia, which is, again, we're going to go and we're going to do these actions. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, go over here and do, yeah, because she might want to, yeah. I'm going to go ahead and come over here and do the new growth. And what I do here is I get to place 2 new growth. And what's interesting is there's 2 types. There's new growth that actually stays. Like thematically, we're trying to plant new growth. And if we, it doesn't always work, right? It's really barren land. So some of them without the big trees or a lot of trees, it doesn't stick around. The ones with the trees do. And so if I plant those on a spot that has a bonus, I actually get that bonus. So the first thing I'm going to do is do that. I'm going to I get 2 victory points, and I'm also going to get 2 more cards. So right now I am flourishing with project cards, which, yeah, that is not a bad thing. And I get 2 victory points, so I actually get on the board. So I've got 2 points right now. That's my first one. So my second one, I can either get some more of these growth tiles, which can be huge, or 4 energy, which is a lot. Or I could go ahead and do a build action. And I don't know what she's going to do. I don't know what she's going to do. I'm thinking actually that she might want to do a growth because she could get 2 that. So I'm going to hold off on the build action right now and just say, you know what? I'm going to just think that she might not do that. And I'm going to go ahead and get, I'm not horrible on energy. I'm going to go ahead and get 2 more tiles. Because the tiles can be hard to come by. And they can be pretty powerful. Okay, so wow, I just drew 2 of those ones. I really need to make sure that I'm landing my ship next to these spots, because if not, I just get 2 victory points. Okay, maybe not the best draw, but it is what it is. She gets now to build. And so for her build action, she's going to pull up her cards. There are a couple cards that she could build. She could build a mechanic that could help her do an airship upgrade. You immediately get to do an airship upgrade for 1 less. That's what she's going to do. She's going to keep rolling with that. She's going to spend her 4 waters. Is she? Because it's not helping her move up on this track. She could save her water. Okay. Oh my gosh, this is a tough decision. She's going to also have to get rid of a card if she does. Nope, she's not. She's going to take her 1 build action, and she's going to spin these 2 things, and she is going to, yeah, she's going to do the militia as well. And the reason is because she wants to move, well, should she? Yeah, or should she just get some more movement ability? You also see there's victory points at the end of the game for how far along you get on these tracks. This isn't 11 plus 6 plus 3 plus 1. It's 11 victory points at the end of the game. She's going to do the same thing. She doesn't want to have to keep wasting her energy to flip over cards maybe on some of these simpler ones, or maybe only be able to have to flip over 1 instead of like there where she just gets that one if she goes to Whitehaven. Okay, so that is my turn. She's going to do the same thing. And the reason she's doing is because it's the optimal time. She can place this right here to get 2 victory points like me and get 2 more metal, which is good for the ship upgrades, which is not bad. And then here, she's actually going to be able to, she's going to place it here, but it doesn't stay. She's going to just take another metal at this point. Instead of another build action, or does she take the build action? She's not, because she's thinking that she may do a build action next round, actually. So she's going to be okay with that. So that's going to be the end of both of those rounds. So I'll say let's just go ahead and let's talk about the art and the components of the game. Overall, I like the art in this game. The box cover is okay. I actually wasn't, like blown away by the box cover whenever I saw it for the first time. Because there's it's thematic. Like there's a lot of this dust and barren land. I guess if it were me, I might have like had the Zeppelin like a lot bigger. I think that might have been cool because that's my personal taste. I think Zeppelins are pretty sweet and they're pretty cool. So that would have been, I guess, maybe my art direction. But this the artist is so much better than I ever dreamed of being. I think they did a really good job. These player mats, everything is really clear. The graphic design is good too on these. You can really clearly tell what everything is over all of this. This board is cool. This reminds me of kind of like a Freedom and Freeze art, like Freedom and Freeze games art here. There's a couple places, even on the board, the way it's kind of cartoony and stuff, that I kind of felt like that. I think the card art is really good as well, so I'm really happy. Now this is kind of like an orange blob, I guess, here, but it has to be thematically, right? Like this is a barren land, and hopefully, oh, I didn't even do that right. I should have flipped those over. So like hopefully as we're playing through the game, we're popping with a little bit more color as trees are starting to bloom and stuff like that. So, and growth is actually starting to happen. Yeah. So overall, yeah, I think this is solid art. The components, they're not just cubes, which I'm a guy that doesn't care too much about if they're cubes or not. There are cubes right here, but you know, you have the metal, you've got the water drops. This first player mark's pretty cool. These drones, pretty good. These are nice, meaty, chunky zeppelins that you're flying around, these airships that you're flying around. So art and components, Capstone does a good job all the time. They did a good job with this. Everything looks, you know, really, really good. So let's talk about the gameplay. All right, so let's talk about gameplay. Here's some things that I enjoy about the game. I think maybe my favorite part about the game is this card play, and the way that you have those tough decisions, you know, like let's just say you've got 4 or 5 cards in your hand, and you really like all the cards. Like you have to get rid of one every single time that you're going to play one. They're all going to require getting rid of a card. So those are kind of fun. Like, oh man, maybe you get rid of one that costs more, you know, because you're realizing, you know what, I don't produce that much water right now. Let me wait till later on in the game whenever I'm producing more water to, you know, get one of the cards that cost more or whatever. So I think that's cool. But negatively with that, all the cards cost are water and a card. So it's one resource, one type of resource, and then you're getting rid of a card. For some of you, you're going to love that. You're going to love how streamlined that feels, but I personally would have liked to have seen it require more than one type of resource, right? You know, have 2 or 3 different kinds of resources, and you're trying to, it would feel more puzzly, like, okay, how can I get this resource and that resource? Oh yeah, to be able to play this card. Yeah, that feels really good. Here it's just as simple as, you know, I need 5 water. So how am I going to get, you know, 5 water? And there's, you know, just a few ways to get water in the game. So that didn't feel super interesting, but I did like the way that you had to discard a card. I also really do like the way that this worker placement area works up here. I like how you have how they interact. So like the player interaction, this is where a bunch of the player interaction is on this. There's a little bit here on this board, like if they're covering up these spots, but for the most part, the player interaction is right here. And it is, you know, what is my opponent going to do, right? Like if I'm first and I really want to build something, but I really want one of these 3 cards, I'm going to push my luck. Like I could be like, all right, looking at what she has over here and going, okay, I think she's going to choose to do a build action this turn. And if she does, then I'm going to get the build action that I want because I really need to build one of these cards this round. But if she doesn't, if she chooses to go here, then I'm not going to get a build action unless I get lucky and one of the cards has a build action on it. So wow, okay, oh man, maybe I will go and do this build action just to make sure that I get the card that I really need built here because of what I'm going to do next round. But you know what? I'm going to push my luck and I'm going to go here. Right? And then she decides to go here or here, and I'm going to get that build action. So I think that's fun. I think it's really fun trying to get in your opponent's head and trying to figure out what they're going to do. And that can lead to some really kind of almost grueling decisions of, oh, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Now, if you go last in the round, it's great because then you get to see what they do, and boom, you can make your decision based on that. So I think that that's cool. You know, negatively, again, for me, this game leaves me feeling like I just want more to it. I didn't feel like this part, the airship movement, was super interesting. It's fine. Yeah, like I like these spots where you're trying to decide if you want to have 2 movement to go in here or that. But overall, I just didn't feel like gripped by this. I also, you know, wish that, again, I'll just say again that I wish there were more resources, even here where you're building. It is thematic that you're using metal to build here, but maybe another resource or 2 to maybe have that get more puzzly nature to the game. I would have liked to have seen that. So I'll kind of use this to go into my final thoughts. And for those who skip forward to the final thoughts, I'm going to briefly say I like the way that the cards play. So if you've heard this, you've heard this. I like the way the cards play in the sense of having to get rid of a card. I do wish that there were more resources required instead of more different types of resources, instead of just one type of resource there. Same thing here. Here I do like the way the decisions you have to make based on how whenever you do an action, your opponents get something. And then when they do an action, you get to do something. And trying to make those calls. Like you may even, go, oh, I know that I think that she really needs resources, so I'm not going to go here in my turn because I'm not going to let her get, this resource or that resource. So I think that is fun. But overall, like if you're a fan of Pfister's heavier games, you're a fan of, Maracaibo just came out, Expedition New Deal, Mombasa, Great Western Trail, and you really like those types of games, I have a feeling this might fall a little flat for you. It did for me. It's okay. This is a well-designed game. I mean, Pfister did a really good job designing it. But if you like those more complex decisions of managing this resource and this and all those types of things, this game is it's just you just have less of that. It feels like a more like a streamlined Pfister game. It feels like a lighter weight Pfister game. And as I played the game personally, I kept just going, I'd just rather play Maracaibo right now. I'd rather play Great Western Trail if I want to have, the card play in the way that you're building your deck with that. I'd rather, play one of his other games. Also, something that I forgot that I need to mention is that the campaign really quickly. I should have mentioned that in the gameplay, but also the campaign mode for this just, didn't really do it for me. I'm not huge into stories, like story games, but if I am, I want you to engross me in the story. This is my personal taste. Some of you will love that part about this game. I want, like Sleeping Gods, it really engrossed me in the story, and I loved it. Here, it's like a little story here, a little story there, and you have to, deal with all these tiles and bring this tile out and bring that tile. When you play the game again, you're like, okay, where was I at? And I just kind of felt like there wasn't enough story in here to make me want that in this game. And you don't have to play like that, and I don't think I ever would. Like, I think I'm just like, you know what? I just want to play the game. And Pfister's done that a lot lately, and I think a lot of you are going to love that about the game and go, John, you're out of your mind. That's so cool. And if that's your jam, great. I'm glad that's your jam. It's just really not mine. I kind of looking forward to maybe Pfister coming out with a game sometime where, like, you're not having to do that without the campaign, just because I don't know. I feel like I'm a little kind of campaigned out. That's just me, and that's my personal taste. Again, you may really, really love that about the game, but again, overall, I would rather play another Pfister. This game is probably going to be pretty low on my games for Pfister games. Now, and he's I love him, one of my favorite designers. This is probably fairly low on it, but it's not a bad game. It's a good game, and I think a lot of people are going to love it. So if you go back and watch my gameplay, because you may totally disagree with me about some of the decisions. You also may want a game that's a little bit lighter from Pfister that you might really enjoy this one. This one is just one that I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. 7 means I'm usually willing to play it. 6 means it's okay if I'm in the mood. I guess I'm somewhere in between. I don't think I'd usually be willing to play this. Most of the time I'm going to say, y'all, let's just play another game. Another Pfister game if I want to get some of those feels. Let's go play Mombasa. Let's go play Great Western Trail. I'd rather do that. Let's go play Maracaibo over that. For me, this was just a little bit of a disappointment because he makes so many great games, and this is a good game though. Let me make sure I articulate that well. It is a really good, well-designed game. It's just I want something a little bit more crunchy from Pfister. That's my personal taste. But if you're looking for something a little lighter, maybe Maracaibo and all those games are a little bit, that's too much. I want something more streamlined. You might love this game. So I'm giving this a 6.5 again out of 10. If you're enjoying our channel, we would love for you to subscribe to it. You can go to MeepleTownGames.com to check out all of our stuff. We're at Meepletown Games on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and we're Board Game Geek Guild 3407. Thanks for coming down to Meepletown.
Thanks for joining us, and be sure to follow us on Twitter at Meepletown Games, and connect with us on the Meepletown Guild number 3407 at BoardGameGeek.com, and also subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel. And until next time, thanks for coming down to Meepletown.